Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, July 21st, 2026 edition of Douglas Now Live. I am Robert Preston Jr., live in the DouglasNow.com studios. You may have noticed we tried to do a video a few minutes ago. We tried to queue that up, and we had some technical difficulties getting started. In fact, that is 3 Douglas Now Lives in a row where we have had to stop our broadcast or been unable to get it off the ground because of technical difficulties. I apologize for that. We have been largely issue-free since we've been doing this, but last week we had some pretty serious problems with some of our technology. We had to run a few updates that messed up the audio, so we've been troubleshooting for a couple of days, but I think we've got it figured out. A couple of things I want to talk about today. First of all, there's a lot of discussion right now on the DouglasNow.com Facebook page about an officer-involved shooting that happened in Appling County, actually in Graham, which is on the west side of Appling County on 341, right there near the Jeff Davis County line. We don't have a lot of information on that. There's a lot of discussion on the Facebook page. All we know is there was a chase that began in Jeff Davis County. State troopers or a state trooper was involved and actually pitted the car near Graham in Appling County. And there were 2 individuals in the vehicle, we believe, and one jumped out and ran. The other one started shooting at the trooper that performed the pit maneuver. The trooper returned fire, struck the suspect, and injured him. He was life flighted out. We do not have an update on his condition. And we don't have an update on the whereabouts of the other suspect, if he has been caught or not. So we have some folks in Jeff Davis County who are working on trying to find out a little more information about that. Of course, there's a state patrol post over in Jeff Davis County. It's not the Douglas post that handles that. But we have some folks over there who are working on that. We will update you as soon as we have more information. Now, unless you have been living under a rock for the last, 9 days or so, and we can actually go back several months if we want to talk about some of the pre-draft hype. But you know what's been going on with Blake Bryant? A week ago this past Saturday, Blake was drafted in the first round of the MLB draft by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Blake is a 2026 graduate of CCA. And he has been at the top of the prospect list in Georgia for a long time, really since he was about the 8th or 9th grade. He entered the draft ranked about number 60, which is somewhere late second round, early third round, depending on how the picks fall. He ended up going at the 31st pick overall, which is late in the first round, but still in the first round, to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, he thought he was going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate. The Pirates had the 34th overall pick, and they had been big-time suitors this year. Been at a lot of games. The scouts had a lot of contact with CCA head coach Jeremy Corum, and it really looked like he was going to be a Pirate. However, the night before the draft, on Friday night, Pittsburgh traded 2 of their draft picks to the Texas Rangers. One of those was that 34th pick. And the Rangers did not have any interest at all in Blake. So that took the Pirates off the table. The next logical team was the New York Yankees, who had the next pick at 35. So the Yankees had also been hot on Blake's trail all year long, and it looked like he might end up there with New York. But then, I say out of nowhere, it wasn't really out of nowhere. The Diamondbacks have been quiet, but they had expressed a lot of interest a few weeks ago about Blake, but then it kind of calmed down a little bit, and they weren't one of the front runners heading into the draft, but he was still on their board, and they were still very interested in him. They had the 31st pick overall, and they stepped up and ended up taking him with that late first round pick. So Blake is in Arizona right now. He will wear number 23. What is interesting about that is he is already listed as the number 11th prospect in the entire Diamondbacks organization. So they're very high on him. And of course, the scouts all these teams that have been pursuing him are extremely high on him. So a couple of things I want to talk about real quickly. First of all, how much money do you make if you are a first-round MLB draft pick? Well, the first overall pick got over $10 million. The slot value for the number one overall pick was just over $11 million. He signed, he went to Chicago White Sox. He signed for over $10 million. Now, this is not your salary for the minor leagues, because after you get drafted, you go to the minor leagues. There have been a few rare instances where players who were drafted, it's usually college players who were drafted, go directly to the major leagues. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. One name, if you're a Braves fan and you're a Braves nerd and you're of a certain age, you probably know this, but Bob Horner, the great Braves third baseman in the early and mid 80s, went straight from college into the big leagues, went straight up to Atlanta. Dave Winfield did it. Jim Abbott did it. There are a few others who have done it, but it does not happen very often. And certainly if you're a high school pitcher, it's not going to happen. So nobody's expecting Blake to go straight to the major leagues. Nobody's expecting the overall pick, that Chicago took to go to the major leagues, right? He was a college player. So you get in the minors, but you're going to have a salary there as well. But these dollar figures that we're talking about right now are your signing bonus. Then once you start playing in the minors, then you get your minor league pay. So the slot value for Blake at the 31st overall pick was about $3.2 million, $3.12 million, something like that. Most of the guys who have signed below slot value. Now, you can try to get me to talk about what all that means. I certainly don't know the finances and the economics of professional sports. But about half of the top 10 picks have signed. They've all signed a little bit below slot value. That's what happened with Blake. Slot value 3.12 or so million. He signed for 2.75 million. Now, you see that number and think, wow, well, Blake's fixing to get $2.75 million. He is not going to get $2.75 million. He has to pay his agent out of that. He has to pay taxes out of that. Then he gets to keep what's left over. There will be a lot left over. It's not a bad summer job, right? I know what Zine is doing this year for summer, right? He's making $17 an hour. All right. So, taking your taxes and your agent fees off the top of 2.75 million still leaves you with a lot of money. I would guess, I don't know. I do not know. I'm guessing when it's all said and done, probably have about 1.5 million left over. Again, not a bad summer job. But in addition to that, you get paid for playing minor league baseball for as long as it takes to reach the majors, or until you decide that you don't want to play baseball anymore. Now, that brings us to the next topic I want to talk about. What are Blake's chances of making the major leagues? And when I say make the major leagues, I'm talking about playing one game, of getting to walk out on a major league baseball field, stand on the pitcher's mound, and throw in a regular season game. I'm not talking about a spring training game, anything like that. Whether you're called up temporarily because of an injury, whether it's a late season September call up, or whether you make the big league roster in spring training. What are your chances of playing one game in the major leagues? And actually, it's pretty doggone good if you are a first rounder. The interesting thing about baseball is, and I don't know how hockey works, right? Okay, because we don't follow hockey around here. I don't know how hockey works. But I know in the NFL or the NBA, if you are a first round draft pick, you are not only expected to make the team in camp, but you're expected to play and to contribute significantly as a rookie. The exception to that used to be quarterbacks. Up until a few years ago, if you were, a quarterback taken, was expected to sit out for a few years, learn the position, and then work your way in the starting lineup. Look at what happened with Tom Brady, Brett Favre. There have been a lot of great quarterbacks who had to study, if you will, under someone else before they got their opportunity. But even that's not the case anymore. Team pays big money for a quarterback taken in the first round, second round. Fans, management, they expect that quarterback to play and play well. It's not always fair. Doesn't always happen that well. And in fact, you see a lot of really good quarterbacks in college not make the transition to the NFL. I am no football analyst, but I think they rush those kids sometimes. I think quarterback, particularly in that position, you need a few years to develop. But I digress. Major League Baseball is a lot different, okay? Most kids who are selected in the draft don't ever play a major league game. It just doesn't happen. All right. So, what are your chances of actually getting to the big leagues if you are drafted by a major league team? Now, for our purposes, we're going to talk about first round picks. And it's actually a lot higher than I thought. And I've looked in several. The numbers I'm fixing to quote here are from Baseball America, but I've looked at several different websites, and this is all pretty consistent. They all say about the same thing. For a pitcher taken in the first round, the chances of playing one major league game is about 81%. All right. Now, there's some things that have to happen. First of all, and the biggest thing is, and this is especially urgent with pitchers, is you have to stay healthy. All right. You've got to stay healthy. That's the biggest aspect of it. Keeping your arm healthy, elbow, your shoulder. If you can stay healthy and you don't get into trouble, that's the other thing. You don't do anything stupid and get into trouble. And I don't think that's going to be an issue with Blake. I think he's very well grounded, and he's not going to get caught up in some of the things that a lot of these young players do. But if you stay out of trouble and you stay healthy, you got about an 80% chance or so of making the big leagues. Now, when you start talking about the difference between just playing in one game and then having a productive career, and of course you can define productive career however you want to, but for the sake of the argument here, we're talking about 1,000 strikeouts. What are your chances of recording 1,000 strikeouts for a major league team? The number drops down to 14.3%. All right. So you got an 81% chance of playing in one big league game, but you've got a 14% chance of recording 1,000 MLB strikeouts. If you take a look at round two, and this is kind of interesting to do, the number of pitchers or the chances of a pitcher taken in the second round of the MLB draft playing one game in the majors is about 64%. The chances of a second round pitcher reaching 1,000 strikeouts drops to 7%, a little over 7%. Position players, some of the same numbers, about 81% of players selected in the first round, position players, get a hit in Major League Baseball. All right. About 81% actually get an MLB hit. 22.5% is a little bit higher for position players, but about 22.5% get 1,000 hits. So anyway, that's first round. Second round, 63.2% get an MLB hit, while 8.8% get 1,000 MLB hits. So again, there's a big difference between making an appearance in a major league game and then having a career where you put up, some pretty good career milestones. You get 1,000 hits, strike out, 1,000 batters as a pitcher. I would say if you're a power hitter, probably that line of demarcation is somewhere around 200 career home runs, 150 to 200 career home runs. And I don't have any statistics for that. Nobody broke that down here. But yeah, so you're looking at about an 80% chance of Blake making the major leagues for one game, making one appearance. Now, a lot of that, of course, has to do with the amount of money that you get paid. A team that's going to make an investment, a big investment on you, is going to give you an opportunity, and a significant opportunity. Take, for example, the last kid I can think of we had connected to Coffee County who played in the major leagues. You go back to about 2012, 2013, Tyler Bachelor, who was actually from Savannah, but he played baseball here. It was then South Georgia College. We eventually became South Georgia State College. But Bachelor played here. He was drafted by the New York Mets. I think he was taken in like the 11th round or something. But they gave him a pile of money. They gave him, his signing bonus was $500,000. That was 2 or 3 times above what that slot was allowed, if I remember correctly, or what was recommended. So he gets $500,000. His first year in the minors, he tore his elbow up, had Tommy John surgery. He came back, and he got many chances with the New York Mets. And you look at his numbers aren't great, but he made a significant number of appearances, and he was a middle reliever. So, your numbers are a little skewed out of that position. But he played several years with the Mets. They traded him to the Pirates. He played a little bit with the Pirates. Then he ended up signing with the Twins. I don't think he ever played a major league game with the Twins, but he had I would call what he had a productive career. But you look at his numbers and you might think, why did he continue to get the opportunities that he got? It's because they put so much money into him. They gave him $500,000 out of the 11th round, I believe. So if they make an investment on you, they're going to give you an opportunity. And they stuck with Tyler even after he had Tommy John surgery. Now, they've made a much greater investment, not the same team, but the team has made a much greater investment in Blake. They're going to give him an opportunity. He's going to have every opportunity to make the big leagues. All right. He really is. It's not a guarantee that he's going to do it, but he's certainly good enough to do it. And you look at his body of work going up to the draft, they have high hopes for him. All right. So he's going to get every opportunity possible to make the big leagues. And if he approaches his minor league career the next few years, as he has through high school, you're going to see him in a big league game. You're going to see him in a big league game. And of course, we're assuming here he stays healthy, and everything's checked out so far. His elbow's in good shape, shoulders in good shape. So now they've got to get in the minor leagues and manage that workload and keep him healthy, and then teach him how to pitch at the professional level, because it's different. He's about to see the best hitters that he's ever seen, and he's going to play this summer. He's out there in Arizona. He's going to get an assignment, and he's going to be pitching here before long. And the hitters that he's going to see are the best hitters he's ever seen in his life. And you might say, well, it's just, single A ball or rookie ball or what have you. Those guys are still in the top 1% of 1% of baseball players in the world. There's a tremendous difference between those guys and college guys, and an even bigger difference between those guys and high school kids. So there's going to be a pretty big learning curve here. But the Diamondbacks are committed. Blake has a tremendous work ethic. And people don't see that. That's one thing that you see the games, you see the numbers, but you don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You don't see the sacrifices that have been made. Blake has not had a normal, I hate to say childhood, but normal teenage years. All right. He hasn't been able to enjoy some of the things that his friends have because of his baseball schedule. Now, he loves the game and he would rather be nowhere else than on the baseball field. But you think about what he's had to give up and what he's had to sacrifice to get to this point. It's pretty tremendous, and he's not going to throw that away. He's not going to waste that opportunity. So here he is with number 23, Blake Bryant. Hopefully in the next few years, we will see him in the pitching in a major league game for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Again, if he progresses well, it could be a very, very short time in the minors. You get him up there young, and with his velocity and the way they work pitchers, the way they handle pitchers now, he's got a really, really good opportunity. So, yeah, not a bad summer job. Graduate from high school, 6 weeks later, sign a $2.75 million contract. Not bad. Not bad. Again, you're not going to get all of that. You're not going to get all 2.75 million. You're going to get significantly less than that, but you're still going to get seven figures. Pretty doggone good. So congratulations, Blake. Listen, he deserves every dime, every single opportunity that he's got. He deserves it. His family deserves it. He's worked hard for it. And he certainly has a tremendous amount of God-given ability, but he also has an incredible work ethic. He has used that work ethic to even further develop the talent that he has been naturally blessed with. And this is what happens. So it's pretty neat. And we're going to have a lot of fun following Blake. I guess I'm an Arizona Diamondbacks fan now. I never saw that coming, even though you might say, well, it would be logical to pull for the Diamondbacks since you like snakes. And that is partly true, but never been a big Diamondbacks fan, but we are now. Arizona is now our favorite team. So, I hope you get an opportunity to watch him play. I didn't get the chance to see Keegan McGovern play when he was playing in the minor leagues. Never got a chance to see him in college. I've yet to see Tyreek Hill play as a professional. I want to do that. Hopefully Tyreek can rehab his knee. He's been quiet out of Tyreek Hill camp here lately. So hopefully we'll have some news as we get closer to football season about him. But those are things I would like to do. I want to see Blake play as a professional. I want to see Tyreek Hill play football as a professional. So anyway, congratulations, Blake. You deserve every opportunity you've been given. It's been a whirlwind for the last few weeks. I know you and your family sit down and you think about where you were just 2 months ago and where you are now and where you're headed. It's pretty incredible. It's been a pretty wild summer vacation and not much of a vacation, but yeah, congratulations and good luck, and we'll be following you. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Coffee County's newest grocery store. I will tell you my thoughts, and then they've done something brilliant. Aldi, I hope I'm saying that right. Aldi has done something absolutely brilliant at its store. A lot of people fuss about it, but it is incredible, and I'm a huge fan. I'll let you know about that in just a second. We'll be right back. When someone is injured in an accident, they need 3 things: answers, a plan, and a legal team they can trust. That's what you get at the law office of Bruce Edwards in Douglas, along with a healthy dose of old school toughness and modern strategy to boot. We are here to help. Give us a call and let us work for you. Looking for design, printing, or shipping solutions? Stop by PostNet in Douglas or Waycross today. From business cards to signs and all small business and personal print projects in between, we've got your back with our full-service printing capabilities. We offer custom packing and shipping options through UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service, so you can always choose what works best for you. So, Aldi is open. Has been open now for several weeks in the old Harvey's over here on Ward Street. I've never shopped there before. I mean, when I say obviously never shopped at that one before, but never shopped at any Aldi before. I never have. I've seen them, ridden by them, never been into one. All right. I went Sunday for the first time, and I will tell you this. I like the store. I like it, but it's the things that I buy, the things that I like to eat, the brands that I am beholden to, they don't carry. So I don't see myself frequenting Aldi very much. All right. But there's something they do that I am a huge fan of, and I would not be opposed to other grocery stores doing the same thing. They probably won't. One of the things that people fuss about with Aldi is they don't want to give you a bag. They want you to bring your own bag in. Right. And I took a bag in when I went. I don't have a problem with that. The other thing that they get a little grief from is their shopping cart policy. You have to put a quarter into the shopping cart rack in order to get a cart to go in and do your shopping. When you return your cart, you get your quarter back. So it does not cost you anything. All right. You reserve, if you will, your cart with a quarter, but you get it back once you return. I think that is one of the most brilliant ideas anyone has ever come up with. And I will tell you why. One of the things that aggravates me, that truly aggravates me, irritates me, and upsets me is to see people not properly return shopping carts. I think this, and you may say you're being harsh, you're being too judgmental, whatever. I think it is a huge sign of the kind of character that you have as to how you handle your shopping carts. Okay? It is an act of human decency and, I believe, integrity to return shopping carts to their proper place. If you're one of those who leaves the shopping carts out in the middle of the parking lot, rolls it up on a patch of grass and leaves it, with the thought that, oh, they've got someone who does this. They pay somebody to round up these shopping carts. I'm not going to walk 20 yards across the parking lot and put a shopping cart where it goes. All right. If you're that person, then I would dare say you're a person of low integrity. I'm partly joking. I'm partly not. All right. I do not think it is asking too much for people who use a shopping cart to return it where it goes. I don't care how far I have to walk. I have had to walk so far to return a shopping cart before that I told Heather, pick me up over here at the, over here at the shopping cart rack. And I'll walk the cart over there and she'll drive over and pick me up. Now, most places we have in Coffee County, you don't have to walk that far. And I do try to make it a point. If I go to Walmart, if I go to Publix or somewhere like that, I park close to where the shopping cart return rack is. But even if I don't get a parking space close to the rack, I am going to return the shopping cart. All right. The reason that you have to put a quarter in to get the cart at Aldi and then you get your quarter back is to ensure that you return your shopping cart. Because Aldi knows if they just put shopping carts available to people, they're not going to return them. And they are going to have to hire someone and have to pay someone to walk around out in a hot parking lot, a cold parking lot, or a wet parking lot to pick up shopping carts. All right? Shopping carts that get left out, get hit by cars, they get damaged, they get slammed into curbs, all kinds of things happen. So while people, and there were a lot of discussions about this on social media about their shopping cart policy, and a lot of people are upset about it, but it guarantees that you will take your shopping cart back unless you just want to lose a quarter. And there may be some people out there who think it's not worth returning their shopping cart for a quarter. But the reason why they do that, I believe, is so people will return their carts. And I don't think it's a shame that you have to do it that way. There is still a financial incentive for a person to return the cart, even though it's a quarter. But you shouldn't have to do that. I will say it again. It is an act of human decency to return your shopping cart. And if you consider yourself a person of integrity, if you consider yourself a person of high moral character, if you consider someone who takes the high road and does the right thing, and you do not properly return your shopping cart, I would dispute that. Again, I'm only halfway joking, kind of maybe a little bit, but not really. All right? Because it's hard for me to believe that in all situations you will do the right thing if you can't follow that simple instruction. You get the shopping cart out of the store, you put it back where someone can come pick it up and return it. All right? You wouldn't want anyone making your job more difficult. You wouldn't want anyone making you aimlessly wander about picking up other people's stuff on your job. You shouldn't do that for others. So while Aldi is not really my cup of tea when it comes to grocery shopping, they have absolutely hit it out of the ballpark with that. And it's a shame that we have to do that. It's a shame that people can't be trusted enough to return their shopping carts, to take them back where they need to go. It's very frustrating and it's very troubling, and it sends a bad message if you don't do it. So hopefully people will start returning their shopping carts at Walmart, at Publix and places like that. I hope so. But you certainly will if you go to Aldi. You absolutely will, or it'll cost you a quarter. I would love to see other places institute the same kind of policy. I would be all for it. If they did it at Walmart, I would be all for it. I would gladly put my quarter in a machine and get a shopping cart to ensure that people return their carts. I would absolutely do it. I wouldn't fuss one bit. Would not fuss one bit. So anyway, I like that. I like that a lot. When I realized what was going on with it, it tickled me. I thought it was pretty funny. So again, good on you, Aldi. It's a shame you have to do it, but I'm glad you do. Let's take another break. We're going to look at our tower cam when we come back. I'm looking outside the window here. We're going to get to see some rain on the tower cam, if the rain will stay around for about 30 more seconds. We'll take a look at the weather. It's not looking too good outside our studios. We'll be back in just a second. A car accident can have serious consequences far beyond the initial crash. Your life and the lives of your loved ones can be turned upside down. Missed work, lost wages, totaled vehicles, and insurance companies that don't want to help. You need a law firm that will fight for you. You've come to the right place. Looking for design, printing, or shipping solutions? Stop by PostNet in Douglas or Waycross today. From business cards to signs and all small business and personal print projects in between, we've got your back with our full-service printing capabilities. We offer custom packing and shipping options through UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service, so you can always choose what works best for you. Let's take a look at our tower cam, see what's happening outside the studios. We have rain. It actually rained pretty heavy here a few minutes ago, and of course, going back to Friday, and then even through the weekend, we had some really, really bad weather. We had an incredible storm that rolled through here on Friday night. I was over in Savannah, the Savannah area, and I got hung out over there. I did not get back to Douglas till after 10 o'clock, but I came through what hit us. I came through that in Hazelhurst, and it was really bad. It was scary bad. For a few minutes, it looked like hurricane conditions. And then as I got into Douglas, I saw the county motor grader going out. We had some trees across roads. I saw a pickup. It was a county employee who was going to the county barn to get a chainsaw to go help clear a roadway. He hydroplaned and ran off the road. Didn't damage his vehicle very much. He wasn't hurt. They were able to get him out of the ditch. There was a lot of bad things that happened Friday night up in Huffer. I talked to someone who got 4 inches of rain in the span of about 45 minutes. So we've had a significant amount of rainfall. And we did mention this when we had the bad storm earlier in the summer, that there are going to be several events like this as we move through. We're in an El Nino year, and the weather is going to be extremely volatile over the next few months. We got a little hurricane tropical storm brewing down in the Gulf. We've already had one named storm that rolled through here a little bit, made landfall out in Texas. So it's been a very active weather season so far, and it's going to continue. But we got chances of rain every day this week. Not necessarily going to be sustained showers where it sits in and just rains and rains and rains. But we're going to have some weather right here as we finish up the last few days of summer as we head into school. Again, I know summer goes on into September, but for all practical purposes, you really get into the short rows after July 4th. But once school starts, summer's over with, and school will be starting a week after next. Next week, teachers go back. The following week, students go back. So, teachers, I'm sorry. I know you don't like it. You're probably putting your fingers in your ears. You don't want to hear talk about school. I tell Heather, we don't have to talk about school. We don't have to worry about it until after July 4th. But once July 4th hits, then it's Katie bar the door. We're wide open all the way in for the school year. So you're starting to see some back to school specials and things like that. So there's a lot going on. It's going to get really, really busy over the next couple of weeks. Looks like the rain's slowing down a little bit, but yeah, we've had some showers here. Again, we're on the west side of Douglas, and I know there was forecast rain in the forecast for today, really, and every day this week. So everybody stay diligent, stay vigilant, be careful when you're on the road. We had a wreck this morning in Douglas over at Thompson Drive and Perimeter Road. That's a pretty gnarly intersection. There are actually quite a few wrecks there, and it makes me nervous when we all start going back to school here and the traffic increases significantly, especially those first few days. So, that's the first thing I thought about this morning. I saw that accident and said, we're already having wrecks there now. What's going to happen here in a couple of weeks? So everybody be careful, be safe, pay attention, stop at the red lights, go at the green lights. Don't stop if you're not supposed to, and don't go if you're not supposed to. And pay attention to make sure other people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I want to thank y'all for watching. Again, I apologize for last week. We're going to try to make up for it this week. I've got something I really, really want to talk about. I have a whole page of notes about this. I want to talk about the Odyssey. Last week, I was going to try to give you a preview of the Odyssey and give you my thoughts and opinions on it, because I'm a huge Odyssey nerd, right? All right, and Greek mythology, not so much Roman mythology, a little bit of Roman stuff, but mainly the Greek mythology. I used to wipe out mythology categories on Jeopardy. All right, I've forgotten a lot of that stuff, but the Odyssey is a phenomenal book. It is a phenomenal movie, although there are some differences, a few of them major, between the book and the movie. But this is a really good movie. I saw it Sunday night. It's long, pretty good time commitment, 3 hours, 54 minutes, or excuse me, 2 hours, 54 minutes, right at 3 hours. But what I had wanted to do last week was give you a preview of the Odyssey and talk about some of the things that concerned me about it and some of the things that I was worried about it as we went into the film. However, because of our technical difficulties, I did not get to do that. Now, when we talk about it, it will be a movie review. Movie's actually getting good reviews and doing very well financially. And it's really neat, even though I wish it stayed a little more closely to the source material. But the more I think about it and the more I reflect on it, I'm sort of moving away from that. I'm not quite as irritated about it as I was right after I watched it on Sunday night, but I do have some thoughts on it. So the next time we meet, we will do an Odyssey review. I would say this: if you want to go watch it, if you've been thinking about going to watch it, please do. And I have a policy, and I take a lot of abuse from my family on this. I don't watch movies over 2 hours. If you're going to come out with something 2.5, 3 hours, one, I'm probably not going to go see it. But if I do, it better be really doggone good. And it better be something that holds my attention. And my interest in the Odyssey, my fandom and nerdiness regarding the Odyssey usurped the fact that it was almost 3 hours. So I did go and watch it. I saw it here in Douglas at Rock and 8. It's here. And it was well worth the let me try that again. It was well worth the 3 hour investment. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, even though there are some pretty significant differences between this film and the book, but you get to see the story of Odysseus's return home after the Trojan War and the troubles that he runs into, the contact he had with the goddesses and the gods, and the adventures that he went on. Again, Christopher Nolan took some liberties. He changed a few things about the characters. He had to combine a couple of things, and you're trying to squeeze a 10-year journey into 3 hours. There are going to be some things you leave out. There are going to be some things you condense. There are going to be some things that don't get emphasized that the book did, and vice versa. So it's still fun. It's really fun. But we're going to talk about that. I'm a huge Odyssey nerd. It's phenomenal. I will leave you with a cliffhanger. We'll give you a homework assignment. The story of the Trojan horse, because Odysseus came up with the idea for the Trojan horse. The story of the Trojan horse and the Greek soldiers getting into the belly of the horse and then being brought inside the gates of Troy is in neither the Iliad nor the Odyssey. All right, now, to give you a refresher from 10th grade literature, the Iliad is the story of the Trojan War, 10 years. The Odyssey is the story of Odysseus' return home to Ithaca after the Trojan War. It's also 10 years. So when Odysseus gets home, he's been gone, and I'm sorry, that's a spoiler, but you should know that Odysseus makes it home. When he gets home, he's been gone for 20 years. All right. So you take the Iliad and the Odyssey, you can combine them together. So it's a tale of a 20-year adventure. 10 years in Troy, 10 years for Odysseus on the way home. However, the Trojan horse is in neither the Iliad nor the Odyssey. So your homework assignment is to find out where the legend of Odysseus and the Trojan horse comes from. With that, I will we will end our discussion today. Got a homework assignment. We'll talk again soon. Y'all have a good afternoon. Everybody stay safe.